There are a lot more questions today about alleged interference by China in Canadian politics. And the latest concerns, based in a story by the Globe and Mail, the paper cites an anonymous national security source who says Bejing made threats against family members of a Conservative MP. That Conservative MP, Michael Chong. Karina Roman joins us with the latest on this. Karina, this matter just simply dominated question period today from all opposition parties. Tell us a little bit about that.
And all opposition parties were on the same page. They definitely supported each other out loud. They said, why are you not answering the other leaders' questions? So there's this Globe report about this CSIS report from July 2021 that talked all about interference, mostly by China, and just how vulnerable Canada is, that China sees Canada as vulnerable because we don't have laws in place like a registry of foreign actors. But the Michael Chong thing is what really galvanized MPs in the House of Commons today and yesterday during question period, because he says he didn't know. And if this report has been around for 2 years, how come he wasn't told that his family was perhaps in danger because of his voting record here in Canada, which was, for human rights? Yesterday, the government seemed sort of unprepared or caught flat-footed by the questions about this, as the story was just breaking that day in the Globe. But today it may be a little bit more prepared with answers, but that doesn't mean the answers were super forthcoming in terms of details. Have a listen to this exchange.
The government knew in July of 2021 that an agent acting for the dictatorship in Beijing, accredited to work at the consulate in Toronto, was threatening a family member of a Canadian parliamentarian, and the Prime Minister's government knew about it and did absolutely nothing. Why?
That is simply not true. I spoke with a member for Wellington Halton Hills earlier today, ensured that he got a briefing from our top security officials to ensure that he gets all the information he needs. A core part of CSIS's mandate is to provide briefings and take action whenever a threat exists, and those same top security officials have confirmed that whenever there is action to take, they do so.
So we don't know what that action was. We don't know if, when Pierre Poilievre accuses the government of knowing about this, who in the government, if anyone other than CSIS, knew about these allegations. In terms of the questions from the opposition, Pierre Poilievre especially, about why this diplomat still works in Canada with diplomatic immunity, because the source in the Globe story did name this diplomat. The answer to that, there was no answer to that. I will point out that intelligence is different than evidence. But this government does seem very hesitant to expel diplomats, particularly from China. Then, of course, as I mentioned, all three parties, opposition parties, were on board on the same page. But Chong himself also stood up to ask a question on his behalf, really, but on all MPs' behalf who are worried about what this might mean for democracy in Canada. And he got a standing ovation. I was actually worried that he wasn't going to have time to ask the question, but he did eventually ask his question, and here it is. Have a listen.
On September 10th, 2019, the Public Safety Minister issued a directive to CSIS ordering the service to inform the Minister of any matter or action of interest to the Minister. When was the Public Safety Minister or his office first made aware that a PRC diplomat, Mr. Wei Zhou, was targeting me or my family?
I want to express solidarity to him and to his family, and that we will continue to work with him and all parliamentarians to make sure that he and all parliamentarians get the support that they need. Mr. Speaker, since the outset, when we took the reins of government, we have been vigilant in fighting against foreign interference. We have put in place the people, the resources, the tools, and the oversight, as the Prime Minister just said, to defend our institutions. We will do that work together.
So a non-answer. I'm not sure how illuminating or whether I doubt Michael Chong was satisfied with that answer, Hannah.
Yeah, absolutely. There are also two separate committees looking into the issue of foreign interference, not just question period. So tell us a little bit about those.
So the Ethics Committee will start shortly, 3:30 Eastern Time. They're going to hear from Morris Rosenberg, a name that now has become fairly well known because he used to head up the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation, which is at the center of this controversial donation from Bejing. But as well, he was the author of the report on the assessment of the 2021 critical election incident public protocol, that determined that there wasn't any impact of interference that impacted the election of 2021, but that changes could be made to the threshold of when people get notified about possible impacts of election interference. So he's up. And then there is the Procedure and House Affairs Committee, known as PROC. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern today. They're going to hear from a number of people, but including Ward Elcock, former director of CSIS, and Jenny Byrne, who's well known for the Conservative Party, former advisor to Stephen Harper, very much behind a lot of Conservative election campaigns, and now, of course, advising Pierre Poilievre. So that will be interesting. Two committees tonight with some very key people testifying.
So much more to talk about. Karina Roman, thank you kindly.
You're welcome.